Entering the eatery, a woman with the energy of a full-blown Karen walked in like she owned the place. She acted like she was part of the family, claimed she was the owner's wife. But here's the thing, I'm 18 years old, and I'm actually married to the owner's daughter. My parents run this place, a small, cozy restaurant with a little bit of everything. Sandwiches, sweets, cakes, you name it. We even have a fun nickname for it, Jim's. I usually help out there when I'm not hanging out with my buddies. The job's simple, and the money I earn, especially on weekends, gives me a little extra to treat my friends or buy something fun. It also kind of motivates my friends to do the same. Most of them know I'm the owner's son, and honestly, so do most of the regulars. My parents aren't just the owners. They work hard, side by side with the staff. But you'd be surprised how many customers treat them like they're just hired help. This woman, though, I had never seen her before. She looked like she could have been anywhere between 30 and 45, and she had a child with her. That kid was wild. Looked to be around 13 years old, maybe younger. Since it was the weekend, the place was a little slower than usual. I remember she was told to wait on the side chairs for about 20 minutes before she got seated. Eventually, she took her seat at a prepared table, and I came over to take her order. I don't remember exactly what she asked for. Some kind of sandwich, I think. I walked back to the kitchen to put it in, and then I waited by the register in case any other customers needed help. That's when I noticed her kid running around like a tornado, yelling, bumping into other customers, even stepping near people's food. The woman, of course, was deep in a phone call and didn't care at all. I was annoyed, really annoyed. So when the kid came zooming past me again, I gently stopped him and said in a calm voice, "Hey, you shouldn't be running around in a restaurant. It's dangerous." He screamed and bolted straight back to his mother, who immediately stood up and stomped over to me like I'd just committed a crime. "How dare you!" she shrieked. "You touched my child. He was just running around having fun." I tried to explain. "Ma'am, he was bumping into other people and nearly knocked over a tray. He's a child. He can do whatever he wants." "Not here, ma'am. Not on my watch." That's when she narrowed her eyes and pulled out the big guns. "Oh, you little brat. Do you even know who I am? I'm the owner's wife. You've made a huge mistake. You'll be lucky if you're not fired today." I blinked. Did she really just say that? Now, I've heard all sorts of bold claims, but this one was up there. And the funniest part? She said it with such confidence, like she really believed it would scare me into silence. But no, I wasn't playing along. I kept calm. "Ma'am, I think you're mistaken. I'm the son of the actual owners." She ignored me and cut me off again. "I know the owner personally. His name is Joe." That caught me a bit off guard. She did know my dad's name. But again, it's not like his name isn't on the front of the building. People see it all the time, and we do delivery, so his number is listed too. "I'm sorry if I came off too harsh," I said, "but your son was disturbing other customers. I didn't mean to upset you." "Oh no," she said, fuming. "You're finished. You'll never work here again. Just wait until I talk to my husband." In my head, I was cracking up. She clearly had no idea. I imagined maybe she brought along a sister or a friend and thought she could play pretend in front of them to impress someone. Before I could say anything else, she stormed up to the counter, demanding to speak with the manager. My dad was nearby and walked over. "Excuse me," she snapped, pointing at me. "This employee has been threatening my child. I want him fired, immediately." My dad looked over at me, then calmly back at her. "I'm sorry, ma'am," he said, "but I can't fire him without cause. He's allowed to speak up if a child is causing a scene." She glared at him. "Do you even know who you're talking to? My husband owns this place." Dad smiled, a big, wide grin. "Yes, I do." "Then why are you letting this boy get away with it?" My dad chuckled. "Because that boy is my son, and I am the owner." Her face turned a strange shade of pale, like all the color had drained out in an instant. It was as if someone unplugged her from the wall. My dad's voice stayed calm, but his words were sharp. "You are not my wife, and you have no right to speak to my staff, especially my family, that way." She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. For a second, she looked like she might cry or scream, maybe both. My dad looked at her receipt. "Would you like a refund?" That's when she completely lost it. She yelled that we didn't know who we were messing with, that we'd regret this, and that she was going to call someone to deal with us. She stormed out with her son, who was now crying loudly. Honestly, I felt bad for the kid, but not for her. The best part? Later that evening, she actually tried calling the number posted on our delivery board outside the restaurant. And who answered? My dad. "Hello, this is Joe, owner of Jim's. How can I help you?" Silence. Then she stuttered out a half introduction before realizing she'd just called the same man she'd insulted earlier. My dad calmly told her, "Yes, I am the owner. And no, we don't tolerate that kind of behavior toward our staff or our family." After that phone call with my dad, I figured we'd seen the last of her. But with people like that, it's rarely the end. They don't go quietly. They just regroup and come back louder. Sure enough, a few days later, she showed up again. This time she wasn't alone. She brought another woman with her, someone who looked a little younger and more dressed up. Maybe a sister, maybe just a friend who didn't know better. But from the look on their faces, they came in ready for a scene. I was working the front, and I recognized her the moment she walked through the door. Her eyes met mine, and she gave me this smug little smirk, like she was ready to play round two. I didn't say anything. I just nodded and went about my work. She walked right up to the counter and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "I'm here to speak to the real owner this time. I don't want any of the staff covering for that rude boy again." I raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, the owner is my father, and he's busy at the moment." She waved her hand dismissively. "No, not that man. The real owner, the one who actually makes the decisions." At this point, and even some of the other customers started looking over, I calmly replied, "That would still be my dad, Joe. He's the one who took your phone call the other day." That shut her up for about 2 seconds, until her friend leaned in and asked her something in a whisper. Then suddenly, Karen turned back toward me and said, "We'll wait. We have an important matter to discuss. It's about the treatment we received and the disgraceful behavior of one of your workers." Her friend added, "Yeah, and we heard from someone that the way this place is run could be a lawsuit waiting to happen." That was new. Now they were trying the legal threat angle. I just nodded and went to the back to get my dad. He came out, calm as ever, wiping his hands on a towel. "Yes, ladies?" he asked, voice friendly but firm. Karen immediately launched into a speech about how she had been mistreated, how her son had been manhandled, and how the environment was toxic. She demanded a formal apology and disciplinary action against me. My dad listened quietly, didn't interrupt, just let her talk. When she finally paused to take a breath, he said, "Ma'am, I was here that day. I saw what happened, and we have cameras that recorded everything. Would you like to review the footage together?" Her face tightened. "That won't be necessary." "I think it might be," my dad replied. The color drained from her cheeks again. Her friend shifted uncomfortably beside her. "I understand you're upset," he continued, "but you accused my son, who is also my employee, of something he didn't do. You then claimed to be my wife, and now you're making legal threats in front of customers." She opened her mouth, but again, nothing came out. My dad went on, still calm but with a bit more edge now. "I'm happy to refund your last visit, and we'll consider this matter closed, but I'd like to ask you not to return here. Our staff deserves to work without harassment, and our guests deserve a place where people don't cause scenes." Her friend finally spoke up, quietly. "Maybe we should go." Karen stood there for a second longer, clearly trying to figure out what power play she had left. But when she realized there were no cards left in her hand, she turned and stormed out again, this time without a word. Once they were gone, my dad and I looked at each other and just started laughing. "You'd think people like that would know when to quit," he said. "But they never really do." We thought that was the end of it, again, and for a few weeks, it was. But then we got another call, this time from a man claiming to be a lawyer, representing a client who was mistreated at your establishment. He wouldn't say who he represented, but the message was clear. Karen wasn't done. My dad kept it simple. "We have surveillance footage, we have witnesses, and we're not intimidated by empty threats," he told him. The lawyer never called back. Word eventually got around town. We didn't go spreading it, but a few regulars who had witnessed her outbursts told their friends, and those friends told theirs. Within a month, it seemed like everyone knew the story. We didn't even need to explain anything anymore. People would just shake their heads when the topic came up and say things like, "That woman really thought she could lie her way into free food and control of the restaurant?" It became one of those small-town tales that got passed around in whispers and chuckles. The lady who tried to fake being the owner's wife. The woman who picked a fight with the wrong family. It never turned into a full-blown scandal, but it definitely earned her a reputation. And honestly, I felt proud. Not because we humiliated her, not because we won anything, but because we stayed calm. We stayed respectful. We let the truth speak for itself. And in the end, that was enough. After the dust settled and her threats fizzled out, life at the restaurant returned to normal. Or at least, as normal as it could get after being the main characters in our town's favorite story of the month. People would come in just to joke about it. Any new fake wives today? Or, is the owner's real wife working today? It became a running gag. My fiancée, who, again, is the actual owner's daughter, found it hilarious. One evening, she came in after class and asked, deadpan, should I start wearing a badge that says legit owner's wife so no one else tries to claim the title? We all laughed. My dad even joked about putting a little sign on the front window, no fake spouses allowed. But then something unexpected happened. A few weeks later, a woman walked in who looked oddly familiar. She wasn't dressed like the last two times. No more smug grin or overdone attitude. Just jeans, a plain shirt, and a look of discomfort written all over her face. And behind her, her son. The same boy who had run wild through the restaurant not long ago, now walking quietly behind her. She stepped up to the counter, glanced at me, and gave the smallest nod. I'd like to speak to Joe, she said softly. I studied her face. There was no heat in her tone, no venom in her stare, just tired eyes and maybe a hint of regret. I called my dad from the back, unsure of what this was about. When he came out and saw her, he paused, then nodded once. Come with me, he said, leading her toward the side of the restaurant near the office. I didn't eavesdrop, but I'll be honest, I wanted to. After a few minutes, they both returned. My dad's face was unreadable, but he looked calm. She turned to me and gave a slight bow of the head. I'm sorry, she said. Just that. 2 words. Then she left with her son. My dad told me later. She said she got carried away, that she was embarrassed and trying to impress someone she knew. She didn't mean for it to go so far. I shrugged. So, what now? Nothing, he said. She apologized. That's enough. And you know what? He was right. Sometimes people mess up. They try to be someone they're not. They let pride or insecurity drive them to do ridiculous things. And sometimes they realize it too late, but still come back to make it right. That's a rare thing these days. From then on, she never came back as a customer. But every now and then, I'd see her around town. She'd nod politely, sometimes with a small smile. No drama, no fake claims. Just a quiet reminder that even people who act outrageous can grow. But what really stuck with me was how my dad handled the whole thing. He never yelled, never raised his voice, never fought fire with fire. He stayed calm. He stayed grounded. He let the truth speak louder than any outburst ever could. And in doing so, he taught me something valuable. Dignity doesn't need to shout. It just needs to stand firm. Now, every time I see someone losing their cool in public, whether it's over a coupon or a table or the temperature of their coffee, I remember this story. I remember how quick people are to puff up and pretend. And I remember how powerful it can be to simply hold your ground, speak the truth, and let them run out of steam on their own. My fiancée and I still laugh about it sometimes. She'll say things like, if anyone ever tries to steal my title again, I'm showing them the wedding ring and the family group chat. It became one of those memories we keep tucked in our pockets, not because it was dramatic or awful, but because it reminded us who we are. That we're not here to entertain someone's delusions or play into their fantasies. We're here to work, to live, to love, and to protect what's ours, respectfully. And to that boy, the one who ran wild and got caught in the middle of his mom's charade, I hope he grows up knowing better. I hope he remembers that there's more strength in humility than in any tantrum. Because one day, he might find himself standing on the other side of the counter, and maybe, just maybe, he'll handle it with grace. As for us, business is good. The regulars still come in, and the staff still jokes about Karen the Pretender from time to time. But that's all it is now, a funny story from the past. One that reminds us that sometimes, the wildest moments in life don't come with explosions or fanfare. They come with a raised voice, a wild claim, and someone pretending to be your mother-in-law. There's something timeless about the lesson in this story, because no matter how old we get, we've all met someone who tries to puff themselves up by pretending to be more than they are. Whether it's entitlement, insecurity, or a desperate need for attention, Some people think they can lie their way into respect, but true respect isn't demanded, it's earned. This story reminds us that dignity doesn't need drama. It shows us the quiet strength of staying calm when someone else is loud, of choosing truth over spectacle. The young man didn't lash out. His father didn't retaliate. They stood their ground with grace and let the facts do the talking. In a world that often rewards outrage, it's refreshing to see that honesty, kindness, and patience still win in the end. And perhaps the most important part, that even people who behave badly can learn, reflect, and apologize if given the chance. Have you ever had to stand your ground against someone making bold, false claims? How did you handle it? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment, give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories that speak to the heart.